Welcome back to another Mixed Media Tuesday. It's Vicky here, and today I'm working on my art journal. Last week I shared this for a 2-page spread and everyone loved it. So today I'm going to make a double-page spread as well. Now I'm going to show you how you can use the same exact steps and come with a completely different look. So I will be recreating what I did last week, but with different products, same steps. So you can hopefully get inspired, use the same steps with any products that you have at home. So here I'm starting with rice paper. Last week it was tissue paper. Again, pretty much the same thing, something thin with a lovely design for the background, and I'm tearing off a couple of corners so that I can stick them on the corners of my pages. Now to stick them down you need a glue that dries matte and it's not sticky. Here I'm using one from Stamperia. I usually work with the rice paper glue by Stamperia, but I was out of it and lately I have opened this soft and matte glue, which I find works great as well. Also, it doesn't smell at all and it doesn't dry sticky, which I absolutely love. And I also use the same glue to cover the top of my rice paper as a sealer. Use your heat gun to make sure that this glue is completely dry, and let's move on to the second step, which is to cover the white space with acrylic paint. Now I like to play with acrylic paints from Stamperia. These are from the Allegro collection. They dry completely matte, which is why I love them so, and they have a very good coverage. So I'm starting with old ivory, and I'm going to add a little bit, just a touch of that grey as well. Try to pick up colors that match the colors that you have on your rice paper, on the design that you placed on the corners. So it kind of brings everything together. I'm doing the blending of the two colors directly on top of my page. Just trust the process. And don't worry if it doesn't look very nice at the moment. Everything is going to come together once we add all the extra steps. Also notice that I go over the torn edge of the rice paper, kind of covering it up so that I bring everything together. I didn't bother to cover completely the white space. I left some areas untouched. You don't need to do everything perfect. And now I am working with white acrylic paint, again directly on top of the paint that I had underneath. This is wet on wet technique, since what I have underneath is not completely dry, and all the colors kind of blend together. However, I don't dip my brush in water at all, because I don't want to blend the colors completely. I like to see all those brush strokes and the lighter and darker areas. And if you have seen the previous page that I shared last week, these are the exact same steps. I'm just switching rice paper and acrylic paint colors. So just by switching the colors or the collection that you are playing with, you can completely come up with a different look, although the steps are the same. So sometimes I get questions on how do I come up with so many ideas. I don't. It's the same idea again and again, but it looks different just by switching the colors. Now the next step is stamping, again following my go-to steps. And this is one of the background stamps that I designed for a collection that I had like 2 years ago. It's the Secret Diary stamp set. And this is still available, by the way. So if your favorite shop doesn't have it, you can ask them to order it from Stamperia. It is still available and it's not discontinued. Anyway, I'm stamping at the background just in a few areas. I'm using black permanent ink, and I'm using my stamp without a stamping block because I want to end up with a more organic look. You can always combine different stamps. Now this one, for example, I like it because it gives you some lines, and I'm going to stamp with that as well, just to give some more interest on the background. You can also have a more subtle look. If you don't go with black for the stamping step, you can definitely go with gray ink, or you can use some bluish one. Just pick colors from the background and it will look just fine. Now there is a lovely title on this stamp which I'm using kind of a border around the edges, not all over the place. I'm not going to cover all the edges, but just here and there it's going to kind of frame what I'm working on. Now the theme for today is winter, so I want to add some stenciling as I always do, and I went through my stash to find a couple of stencils that give you snowflakes. I'm debating on whether I want to use the larger or the smaller ones, but I decided to combine those two stencils. I'm going to apply the paste. This is white volume paste by Stamperia. Absolutely my go-to paste because it's thick, it doesn't seep underneath the stencil, and it holds its shape. Always pick the paste with the back of your spatula, it makes it really easy to apply it. Then scrape off any excess. And I'm going to move on and add a snowflake on the other side. Notice that I don't go for perfection. I don't want to have a complete perfect snowflake at the center of my page. I just like to keep it more organic. All I do to clean it off is just scrape off the excess, and with a baby wipe it is ready to go. I'm going to just put it aside, and now I'm going to bring in the other stencil which has lovely designs of snowflakes as well, but they are smaller, so I'm going to pick a few and just add this design here and there as well. And then one more thing that I can share with you, I always kind of avoid to add my elements dead center. Don't ask me why, I just don't find it pleasing, and I absolutely like having elements towards the sides. Anyway, this is how it looks at the moment. I am happy, but I need to add some splatters. Again, for that I'm going to use the same color that I used at the background. This is the light gray that I used, and with that I'm going to do the splattering. Of course at the end I will do white splatters as always, but for now I want to break kind of that empty space at the center, and splatters are the best. Plus it works great if the color is very close to the colors that you have on the corners. So I'm happy with how that looks. I'm going to stop working on the background for now, and while this volume paste dries, I'm going to work on my focal points. Now let's look at what we did last week, and you can see it's pretty much the same thing. The only thing here is that I did some borders with inking. I'm not going to do that for now. I will show you a different technique with similar effects at the end. Now it's just a matter of finding some focal points for your page. The background is ready. Go into your stash, cut out images from magazines, look on what you have from collections. Here I do have the junk journal, and this is Owl's House. I absolutely love the junk journal paper pads by Stamperia. They give you paper, background paper, they give you pop-out images that you don't have to fuzzy cut, they give you stickers that they are not at all shiny. So if you love junk journaling, if you love ephemera, and if you like creating cards, then this is a great booklet to have. However, they are very popular, they sell out really quickly, and the other way to go is to get the paper pad. However, for today, what I'm focusing on is the techniques. The steps that I do for creating my background, and I can manipulate the backgrounds with the acrylic paints and the rice paper that I use, or a little bit of torn paper on the corners, to create something for any collection that you have at home. So if you are a beginner, just trust the process. Everything is going to come together at the end. So now it's time to create my clusters. I'm going to create 2 clusters on the 2 opposite corners of my pages. That's what you should do no matter which collection and which ephemera you are using for this kind of project to work. Now on one side I'm going to go with a branch and I will just embellish it with some flowers. I will add the owl on top of that. And on the other side I will again create another cluster with smaller elements, and this is where I'm going to add my quote. So here I'm just inking up all the ephemera that I have with brown. You can do that with black as well, just to get rid of that white edge. And if you fuzzy cut your images, this is even more important, because just by inking the edges, you're going to make sure that you cover up kind of all the mistakes that you may have done. I'm sticking everything down with my Nouveau Deluxe glue. Whatever glue works here. You can definitely go with the matte glue that we used for the rice paper. You can even cover them on top if you like. Now this owl is actually a sticker from the sticker book, from that junk journal book, and it has a very tiny border all around that I don't want to. That's why I used my scissors to cut it off. Again, I'm making up the edges, and I don't know if you can tell from the video, but this is, although this is a sticker, it is not shiny at all. It's completely matte. Now I'm thinking that I probably have created the cluster towards the top. Maybe I have like 1 centimeter lower would be better. Anyway, I will work with what it is now because it's already glued down. I am going to create a cluster on the other side, and for that cluster I am going with a snowflake, a couple of banners that one of them has my quote. And now, just to add something more interesting, I'm going to introduce some silver thread. It's always nice to add the different textures on an art journal page. I sometimes do that with burlap. I do it with corrugated cardstock. I like to introduce sometimes a little bit of fabric or gauze, medical gauze. But for today I decided to go with this silver thread. I think it matches perfectly the background, since I have all those grays and bluish colors. And then I am going to embellish that banner with a pine cone and a couple of flowers as well. So I have a smaller composition on one side in one corner and a bigger composition on the other page and at the top corner. Just use opposite corners. Somehow the alignment always works. And do a bigger cluster on one page, a tinier cluster on the other page. Now, as I try to finish off all my compositions, just to let you all know that you can always find a full list of supplies down below in the description. And I'm super happy that some shops give me an exclusive coupon code for my audience, for you guys, that you can use to get discounts. So always check the description for the discount codes, and you can use them even on new collections. So for example, tomorrow Stamperia comes with the new collections. If you are in Europe, you can shop from Viola Craft. You will find the link down below for 10% off even on the new collections. So anyway, just check always the description. There are plenty of info there. Now I am going to use my scissors to chop off any excess. And I absolutely love how I came back into creating 2 pages at once. Also notice that I work back to back, and the pages are super thick, so I have no bleeding from one page to another, and they also stay flat, as you can see. So now I'm using my fine liner, a very thin black pen, and I'm just adding some sketchy lines. This is going to add some definition on all the cutout pieces, and it's going to help them stand out against each other. You can definitely add some shadows with a brush if you like. I tend to not do it lately, although I used to do it a lot back in the day. Maybe I will try it in one of my future art journal shares. So now I am going to do that on all the elements, just some sketchy lines here and there. Don't try to outline them perfectly, it's not going to look nice, trust me. And once I'm happy with that, I am going to do the next step, which is use my white gel pen and add some highlights on some of the elements as well. Now I usually love to do some ink blending on the edges because I feel like it frames my project. However, for this project, since it's about frost and snow, I decided to go with another technique. Instead of darkening up the edges, I'm going to lighten them up by using a sponge dabber. If you don't have one of those sponge dabbers, you can definitely recreate this technique by using a makeup sponge. Just dab it on white acrylic paint and go all around the edges. It is going to create a frosty effect, a lovely frame for your project. Now this sponge really eats up a lot of paint, so I have to load it again and again. But I hope you can see the lovely design that it gives. I absolutely love it for snow-themed projects. And of course, we cannot stay away from white splatters, especially for a snowy-themed project. So I do have some white acrylic paint on my glass mat. I dilute that with water, and I'm just going to add some splattering here and there. So that finishes the project for today. You can see a close-up here and I will add photos at the end as well. I hope that you had fun, that you got inspired. If you did, don't forget to leave me a comment down below, like and even hype the video. That's a new feature. So thank you all so much for joining me today. I hope you'll all have a lovely day.